there folks, welcome you all to yet another vlog of mine. A vlog, people, yes, I bet you were expecting another podcast. We have been quite heavy on the podcast, to be fair, over the last number of months. Flaggins up to you all. The reason that I'll have a sip of this, the reason that we're doing a vlog and not a podcast really is not because I had any major change of heart from doing one or the other. Although it was kind of because I've kind of got just this and that to talk about this week, as opposed to anything sort of particularly focused. It'll be, a bit about my week. We'll have a channel update. We'll talk about a couple of gaming bits that I've come across, and we'll talk about more predominantly what I've been recording, my thoughts on the FPS Boost, all that sort of stuff. But there will be, me prattling on about my week and what I've been up to and that sort of thing. I did say to take some cheeky time off this week, actually, and there was a number of reasons for that. But you'll notice that I've been putting a lot of videos up certainly through the beginning of the week, and then I've continued that on into trying to get up a couple a day. So I've just been recording away. I've got loads of stuff recorded over the last number of days. That's all to come to you. We will get to all of that later. But I don't know, it's funny with the vlogs. This is vlog 107. I want to say 179. I think it's vlog 179. Whereas with the podcast, we only started doing them mid last year, was it? I think it was about mid last year. Because it was when I changed around the upstairs room where I work, the spare room where I work. I changed it all around and I had the new setup, and I thought I might do podcasts up here, and it's worked out. It's worked out really well, and it's nice to be able to do those. But it is interesting when I do a vlog, they do seem to be slightly more popular viewing wise than the podcasts are. I don't know why that is. I don't know whether it's because you guys find me more natural doing this and it's more homely and it's a more broad range of topics because I talk about me and my life a little bit more, and maybe it's that, maybe it's just you guys connect with me more on the vlogs, and that's fine. They are pretty much the same thing. It's just with the podcast it's a little bit more, the mic's a bit closer to me, and you've got the TV screenshots if I've bothered to do that and all that sort of thing. But maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just a bit more homely down here. Maybe it's the knickknacks behind me. Maybe the environment's just a bit more interesting, or maybe it's just because it's more relaxed. So I need to bear that in mind when I do these things, really. I suppose the podcasts, they don't have to be focused, but I think they predominantly are focused on a specific topic, whereas like this vlog, it's going to be, a mishmash of things. And we shall get to all of that. As to what, I'll be giving you channel updates, and I'll be giving you what I've been up to this week, and we'll home in on a couple of gaming news bits that I saw, and also I'll be taking you through the polls that I've been throwing up, which have been really popular since the beginning of, since I started, from this year anyway, since I started doing vlogs again, because we had a bit of a break from them, podcasts and vlogs, for a couple of months, I think it was. Because I was so into doing all the recording for the new consoles that I just kind of shoved the podcasts and vlogs to one side. So we'll be rattling through all of the polls that I've been putting up from when I started doing them again, I think about a month ago. And we'll just see we'll talk through what all the results were, which they're really interesting. When you leave them long enough, you still get people taking part in polls for ages. Unlike the Twitter polls, which seem to have an end date on them, you can just leave your YouTube polls up for your channel polls up for as long as you want. So I just tend to leave them there, and it's really interesting seeing how the results build up and what they are, and in the later stages when they calm down. So we'll go through those as well. We'll start, a little bit of sad news we'll start with. In my podcast last week, I talked about my neighbour, an elderly lady who lived next door called Jackie, a lovely woman who'd been taken into end-of-life care, sadly. I think she was 84, 85, I think. And then I heard, that was last week when we did the podcast, I'd only just heard that week that had happened. And then earlier this week, I'd heard that she'd passed away. So it was really sad news. I'm really gutted. She was a lovely woman. The world is most definitely a worse place without her in it. But, at 85, it's horrible to lose. I know what it's like to lose my mum. Anyone who follows the channel knows I lost my mum at the age of 69 to cancer, 2017, and I was heartbroken. And I'm still not over it now. I mean, there's still times when it breaks your heart just out of the blue, but it becomes a lot easier to deal with. But it's a part of life, and it's something that we all have to accept, that, you know, we'll all have our time when it, you know, there's an inevitability about life. We are all going to die at some point. And if I make it to the ripe old age of 85, you know, if I get longer than that, then fantastic. But, you know, as long as I'm healthy with it. But, you know, that for me is it's a decent innings. That if I was to make it to that age, I'd be pretty chuffed, you know, that I'd made it that far. I mean, I've seen so many people go in their 70s, like famous people. I mean, maybe it's the sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but every famous person I see dying at the moment seems to be in their 70s. But yeah, I mean, it's just a shame. No matter which way you look at it, she was a lovely soul to have lost, and I really feel for her family at the moment. Beautiful woman, and you know, I'm just going to miss her. I'm just going to miss, you know, because we've been through winter. It would have been nice to, when spring, which is just about kicking in now, you know, through April, you know, to lean over the fence and chat to her again. And, you know, because you don't get all of that in winter. It wasn't really a thing where I would go next door and chat to her or anything like that. It was really always over the garden fence, or she would come and ask me for a hand sometimes if she was unsure about something, or if something had broken, or, you know, that sort of stuff, and I would just help her. So it was always sort of over the garden fence in spring and summer that I would get to chat to her properly. And it's a shame I'm not gonna have that this year, you know, but that's nothing in comparison to, you know, what her family are feeling at the moment. But I will miss her. Yeah, lovely woman. Anyway, R.I.P. and I hope she's found a nice place up there. She's at peace now. So yes, anyway, we shall move on to slightly more cheery subjects. So my week was it started, well, I had horrendous back pain building up over the last week, before this week, and it kind of peaked when I was over the week. Well, in fact, when I recorded my vlog last week, my podcast. It's at the bottom of my back, right at the base of my back, and I get it from time to time, and I think it's a mixture of, like, if I do stuff where I'm bent down a lot, like, you know, if I'm cleaning and dusting, or like gardening is one, but I haven't done that for a while because it's been winter. But, you know, all of these sort of things, and sometimes it can kick off if I start, without noticing what I'm doing, lean forward at my desk and start typing away on the keyboard. I can feel it starting to ache, and when it kicks in bad. And the only thing that ever seems to get rid of it is just taking ibuprofen, you know, 3 times a day, and just spraying some deep heat on it and let it, because the ibuprofen will eventually take any inflammation down. So it's what that's its purpose, really. It'll sort back pain eventually. So that's all I've been doing over this week. But I got to Monday, and I worked Monday, and then I thought, you know what, because I've still got this 5 weeks holiday to take anyway, and I thought, you know, before July, well, by end of July, I thought, you know what, I saw the FPS Boost stuff kick in after we talked about, on the podcast, we talked about the Bethesda Microsoft deal being done and all that. Well, pretty much a day later, or 2 days later, they basically said that the FPS Boost mode had been put on Skyrim, Fallout 4, Prey, Dishonored, Fallout 76. And I thought, and that was on Monday, so I thought, oh, well, it would just be good to record that and get it up on the channel as soon as I can for you guys and whoever wants to see how the games are playing. And that's exactly what I did. So I thought, right, I'll take the rest of the week off, book in some holiday time. I mean, I've got a never-ending list of things to do anyway, but, you know, there was nothing urgent has to be done right now. So I thought it's a good time just to take some days. So I took 4 days, and that's been me for the rest of the week. And I've just been recording. But my back, and we'll talk about the recordings in a bit. But my back on Tuesday, I mean, it was so bad. Like I couldn't, like, I had to go out on Tuesday. I needed bread, I needed milk, I needed the basics, you know, but I thought I could do with other stuff as well. I thought I have to drive to the little Tesco. Honestly, you should have seen me. I getting in the car, because my car's quite low anyway, so it's a 20-year-old Honda Accord, and it's a great car, but it's low. So when you're getting in and out of it, you know, I was basically making noises getting in, and even when I got my arse in the car, I couldn't lift my right leg into the car. It was so sore at the base of my back. I had to reach out with my hand and pull my leg into the car. That's what state I was in. And that was after it took me about 10 minutes to try and tie up my shoelaces. I couldn't get to them. And I don't have any slip-on shoes. Like all I have is things with laces in them. Jesus Christ, is that what old age is going to be, people? Velcros and slip-ons. Anyway, I've just kept going. It's eased up a lot now. But even sitting here talking to you, sitting there like this, I'm starting to feel a little bit of an ache, but it's nothing like it was. It always seems to be a little bit worse in the morning. I think that's inevitable because you're a little bit stiff in the morning. Oh, thank you. Hey? Steve, moving on. So anyway, it seems to be calming down. I'm going to continue to take those ibuprofen and just hope that it keeps calming down. Funnily enough, the one place that I'm really comfortable, the only place I can sit where it stops aching is the beanbag, which I filled up recently. I think I talked about it in one of my podcasts because it was a bit of a journey refilling the beanbag. But now that it's a lot firmer when you sit in it, it's the one thing that can actually shape itself to my back. And when I'm sitting in it, because I've been doing all this recording, that's what I sit in when I'm recording for you guys. I'm not one of these people that sits at a computer desk and in a big fucking chair that looks like it's from outer space. That's not how I game, people. That's how I'll never game. If you want content from me, you're going to see it, and you've seen it on my streams. When I do a stream, I'm in that beanbag and the camera's on me and I'm playing on the massive telly. I'm not sitting at a desk playing games. Come on now. You know what I mean? What's that all about? I mean, I understand why people do it. You know, there are technical reasons why you would do that if you are a full-time streamer and stuff. But for me, if I'm going to enjoy the game with everybody else and share that content, I want to be seeing it on the big screen. I want to be comfortable. I want to be, you know, so hey-ho, there we are. That's probably why I'm not making millions of pounds. Anyway, the beanbag is the one place that's been dead comfy. So it's been great to be sat in it doing all that recording for you guys. So anyway, the back pain is easing up now. So we are, hopefully that'll continue. And then at the beginning of the week, I then get a text message saying from my surgery saying you are being invited to have your COVID vaccination and please click this link to, you know, book your time. And I thought, all right, okay, so I'll be getting that done in a number of weeks then. But when I clicked on it, it was like today was basically the first time. So I thought, bloody hell, that's quick. So I just picked 10 past 10 today, and off I went for my vaccine this morning. So I've now been vaccinated. I'm not overly sure I should be having any of this, but I feel fine. There was a little bit after it where my head just kind of went a bit. I just got back and I was settling down to do the recording, and my head, I felt like I was going to get a massive headache. It was just starting to, and then it just calmed down, and I've been fine. So I don't know. I had something light to eat for lunch. Just had a cheese sandwich, chocky biscuit, bit of water, but I felt fine other than that. Touch wood. So, and that was the AstraZeneca that I got today. Hopefully there won't be any blood clots and I won't keel over. Absolutely though, people, unless you've got some underlying condition that you're aware of, or you know that you might be susceptible to blood clotting type stuff, there is no proof that this is having any effect on blood clots. I mean, out of 20 odd million people that have been vaccinated, you're talking about 30 folk or something. It's like, you know, these figures would have been that way probably anyway. I'm not saying it is or it isn't doing it, but there's no great proof that it is. And even if it is, you've more chance of dying of coronavirus than you have of dying of a blood clot. So I think it's, without any shadow of doubt, in my personal opinion, I was never not going to have a vaccine, because I think having the vaccine protects me, but more importantly, it's going to protect other people. So I think you know, it's not 100% that you're not going to pass the virus on to anybody else, but it does seem to be having an effect on that. It seems to be affecting transmission, so it is having an effect on people around you. So for me, absolutely having the vaccination is the right thing to do. I understand people who don't want to. I've been one of those people that I've refused to have a flu jab ever. Like I believe that my body should be able to cope or deal with anything like that at the age that I am. I mean, you know, I think once I get into my 60s, then maybe I'll start having a flu jab. But I think the way that I am, I'm healthy, I exercise, you know, I gave up smoking a long, long time ago. I feel like my body should be able to cope with dealing with flu, and it has done for all these years. Have I had it and been down with it? Yeah, absolutely. But that's how your immune system is built up, by catching these things and fighting them off. So, and the flu jab isn't, you know, it's not guaranteed to, it doesn't fend off every flu. It only fends off the last known flu, so it's like, well, that keeps changing and stuff. So I've always avoided it, thinking my body needs to start, my body needs to keep dealing with this stuff. But when it comes to something like the coronavirus, that's a whole other thing. And yes, your body will build up immunity if you get it, or it gets around your system, and that's fine. And that's effectively what the vaccination is doing anyway in this case. It's tricking it into thinking you've had it already, I think, is the way that it works. Unlike a lot of vaccinations that give you sort of a low version of it, these don't work like that. I think they actually put something else in your system that imitates coronavirus, and therefore it thinks it doesn't need to be there. That said, though, or it doesn't need to kind of infect you as much, because the vaccination doesn't stop you getting it necessarily. It just means that when you do get it, it doesn't impact you anywhere near as much. So anyway, I've got the first jab, and the next one will be in 12 weeks. I feel okay. And anyone who's worried about having the AstraZeneca jab, I certainly don't think you need to. If I'm not here tomorrow, you can scratch all that. And you say, Steve had it, and where's he now? You know what I mean? He was fine the day before. But I feel fine. I feel good. No major side effects for me. I'm feeling okay. And I'm feeling even better now I've got one of these. I'm going to have another sip of this. So what else happened in my week? Go back to my notes now. So, but basically the rest of it's all about our recordings. So we've got, what was the first thing? I'm trying to remember which way round I did it. I think the first thing I tried was Skyrim, because I thought, do you know what? I'm actually quite glad this worked out the way that it did, because I'm so heavily invested now in the PlayStation 5 playthrough of Skyrim. After we'd already done 30 odd episodes on the Xbox Series X, with the mod on giving us 60 FPS, when the PS5 mod came along that had 60 FPS, and I started it all over again. I mean, I was already at level 60, I think, smithing on the first one, which was a grind. I've now, just as this FPS Boost came out, I'd already just hit, I was literally prepped to record the next part of, which I've now posted up, the next part of the PS5 playthrough, which showed me making my dragon armor because I was able to, make all that stuff and everything. So I just hit 100, and I thought, I certainly don't want to be doing that again, and I don't want to be at this stage playing another beginning 30 hours of Skyrim. So I was quite pleased about the fact that when I played it, it wasn't good. And just before I go on, it's the only FPS boost that wasn't good. So, and let's expand on it a little bit, right? So the problem is, and it was worse, in fact, than the uncapped mod, in my personal opinion. It was just sticky everywhere. Every time you panned around, or, the only time it wasn't sticky was when you're inside a cave. It was the only place that was smooth. If you're inside an inside environment, you were fine. But the minute you went outside, it was just bloody sticky everywhere. It was horrible. And I just, like, I said on the videos when I recorded them, I'd probably play it like that rather than 30 frames per second. And that's probably true. However, I certainly play it on the PlayStation 5 before I play it there, because it's not perfect on the PlayStation 5, but it is very rare that I come across a sticky moment on the PlayStation 5. And it's normally not, it's always in a strange place as well. And again, the reason that PlayStation 5 gets sticky in the places that it does is for the same reason. It's because it's trying to do 60 FPS and it's doing it with the higher resolution. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the PlayStation version or the PlayStation 4 version as it is running at 1440p. Therefore, it doesn't stick as much as the Xbox version is, because it's full 4K. And then you take the boost or the mod into account, it's then trying to do 60 FPS at 4K, and it's just not capable of doing it smoothly. So the weird part of this is that the best Xbox experience for this is on the Xbox Series S, because it can't do 4K. So if you play that game on the Xbox Series S, it's immediately playing it at 1080p, and it's perfect. So I've paid through the nose for an Xbox Series X, and I'm getting a worse experience than someone on the S, because their console doesn't care about 4K. It just goes straight to 1080p, and it runs 60 FPS sublime. And that is exactly what Fallout 4 is doing on the Xbox Series X. It doesn't keep it at 4K. It drops it. When you turn Boost on, it drops it to 1080p and it plays at 1080p and it is brilliant. It's gorgeous. Why have they not done that for Skyrim? Just drop it to 1080p and it's perfect. I do not understand it. Like, if you want to play it at 4K, then let them play it at 4K 30 frames per second. Why have you not done the same thing for Skyrim that you've done on Fallout? I don't understand it, because it's a bloody mess. The minute you go into the outside world, it's just it's jittering everywhere. It's horrible. So, for me, I hope they tweak it, because I will want to at some point, not on camera, but some point down the line, I will want to play that game on my Xbox Series X and get my achievements for it. And it's a great excuse for me to play it all over again. So I really hope that they change that and they make the FPS Boost 1080p. Just flat it. And if you want to play it at 4K, just take Boost off and you can play it normal. I have no idea why they've tried to keep that. It just makes no sense to me. Especially when you're talking about a well-aged game anyway, where you wouldn't even notice the difference anyway, as far as I'm concerned. So it's the only disappointing one, and it's only disappointing on the X. I haven't played it on the S. I'm just telling you what I've seen other people saying about playing it on the S, and it plays perfectly because it's at 1080p. So that was the only disappointment, and I then moved straight on to recording. So I recorded 2 parts of Skyrim, and that's it. I've put those up. I've tried to put all of this into a playlist called FPS Boost as well. So if I'm only recording bits and pieces, they'll be in that playlist called FPS Boost. And I then went on to record 2 episodes of Fallout 4. And that was just the opposite experience. It was sublime, and it still is because I'm still playing it. And it was absolutely gorgeous. And that, I started it from the beginning. Anyone who follows the channel knows that I was already well into Fallout, and at some point in that playthrough that I was doing, I put the 60 FPS mod on and started playing that. But of course, it turns your trophies and achievements off. That's what achievements. So I thought I'll play it from the beginning, and then I've got all my achievements, open to me, and so that is sublime. Absolutely sublime. You can go and watch the playthrough, bits of the playthrough if you want to see it. I may have thrown some up here. When I render the vlogs, though, I don't necessarily render them in 60 FPS, so you might be seeing the images in 30 FPS. Because it takes so long to render 60 FPS, and I like to have these vlogs and podcasts up in the same night, so I tend to render them at 30 frames per second. So, don't take any footage I put up behind me as that's what it looks like. Go and watch the footage on... The ones that I post up as gameplay are at 60 frames per second. So, yeah, absolutely delighted with Fallout. And breath of fresh air. It's like playing a whole new game. It's just like everything's smooth. I've not seen it stick once. It is just sublime. And even when I went right up the top of, where was I? Kaverga Assembly Plant, whatever it's called. Up at the top of there, I was panning around the place. I was fighting people. There was nothing was sticking. It was absolutely glorious. And I'm really, obviously, the big testers will be downtown Boston's an area that people said always struggled. And for me, the area that I always saw struggle was Far Harbor because of all the fog and everything, the fog and the water and all that across the thing. Every time you pan around in the original, it was just sticking everywhere. So I'm really hoping that this is going to be really smooth in Far Harbor. I love the Far Harbor section. And I might try and do Far Harbor earlier on in this playthrough. I'm going to get to Diamond City as quick as I can, go and see Valentine as quick as I can, and I think the minute I activate Valentine, I think Far Harbor will kick in as a DLC if it hasn't already. So yeah, I'm delighted with that. So I recorded 2 episodes of that. Then I jumped onto Dishonored, and I recorded a full hour of Dishonored. Absolutely gorgeous again. Both these Arcane games I'm about to mention, praise the next one. Absolutely gorgeous, smooth as butter, absolutely gorgeous, 60 FPS, and they look fantastic. It's like breath of fresh air. Both of those games look amazing, play amazing, so smooth. And I was honestly, I've never finished Dishonored. I got to the end section of Dishonored way back, and then for some reason I stepped away from it. And I just never did that last level. It was really annoying. And I'm sure that might have... Because this is the definitive edition. I'm sure that might have been on the original PS3 or something. And Prey, I never finished either. And I got really, really deep into it. Everyone's screaming like, that's not a surprise, Steve. You rarely finish anything, you muppet. You clone. Anyway, both the Arcane games, absolutely stunning, gorgeous. Couldn't ask for more. Just look fantastic. And, you know, I mean, it's just the difference that 60 FPS makes. And I'll say it, I've said it I've said it more than once, and I'll say it 100 times again. I'll take 60 frames per second over 4K any day of the week. Any day of the week. Because 4K at 30 frames per second, if you put two TVs side by side and one's on 60 FPS 1080p, the other's on 4K 30, you will pick 60 FPS every damn time. I'm telling you, it's the clarity that comes with 60 FPS visually is kind of not... people don't mention it enough. It's like, oh, but it's not 4K. Yeah, but the clarity of when you pan that camera around, everything is just far crisper. There's less speckling going on. It's just like the smoothness gives extra clarity to that picture. Like just upping it to 4K at 30 frames per second doesn't necessarily mean it's crisp. It's a better image, because the minute you move the camera around, you're getting, you know, a horrible grain effect effectively every time you pan it around. With 60 FPS, you're just getting this smooth as butter, like everything just feels much more solid, much more real. It's just an absolute dream, it really is. And apparently we're going to get more and more and more of these FPS boosts on back compat games across the board. Not every game's going to be capable of bringing it to us, and all you do is go into the menu. You go to where the game is on your dashboard, you hit the options button, you pick out manage game and add-ons, and to the left there's a back compatibility options. You click on that and there's a couple of tick boxes, and you just make sure that FPS Boost is ticked before you start the game, and then it's always ticked. It'll just be there ticked until you untick it. Sometimes when they add it, it becomes pre-ticked, and sometimes when they add it, it's not ticked. When I went to Skyrim, it was already ticked, but when I went to Fallout, it wasn't ticked. So I had to tick it. So, yeah, and that's it. That's all you have to do. And then when you start the game up from that point on, it'll always have FPS Boost on. And there's one above it for HDR mode as well, which is a back compat feature they can add to some games, but they weren't applicable to these particular titles. So there you are. So I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed all of them, apart from Skyrim, where I was just like, oh, great, right. It's just sticky again because they're just trying to push it too hard. Just drop it to 1080p. There is no point to that boost mode at the moment, for me, unless you drop it to 1080p. Or 1440p even. If you can bring it down to 1440p and it be fine, then if I do that, you know, it doesn't... I'm not saying it has to be 1080p, but 4K is too much. So... you know, find a way around that. So I hope that they change that and they make it the same as Fallout. I've no idea why they've not just done them the same. And then they both would have been sublime. Just weird to me, it really is. I don't understand at all. So there you are. So that's been the recording that I was doing to get the FPS Boost stuff up. And I kind of put all of that up in... between Monday night... Did I record anything on Monday night? Don't know that I did, actually. No, it was Tuesday. Tuesday... Oh, no, now I can't remember. I might have done. Anyway, from Tuesday onward, I posted up, 6 videos between Tuesday and Wednesday, I think. And then what I did at that point was I decided that I was going to continue to play Fallout 4. I was going to continue on Xbox Series X with FPS Boost mode on. That's the one I'm going to carry forward, because I had no intention of leaving my Skyrim playthrough on the PS5, because that's already on with. We're on with that. And I've been posting more up. And I absolutely wanted to get back to Phoenix Rising. Now, for those people who are following... I said this last week. For those people who are following the Phoenix Rising playthrough, I said to you last week, don't worry, I am going to record some more. Obviously, the FPS Boost stuff kicked in. So I wanted to get that up. Worry ye not, I have recorded 3 hour-long episodes. In fact, one of them is an hour and 20 minutes of Phoenix Rising, Immortals Phoenix Rising. I've recorded those today, so I've just been getting back into that. So there's 3 parts of that coming as quickly as I can get them to you. I just need to render them and then post them up. So you've got 3 episodes of that coming. There's still another 3 episodes of Fallout 4 to come, because I've already recorded those. One's already uploaded for tomorrow, and then there's another 2 to get uploaded. I think I need to render them as well. So there's another lump of them coming, another 2 of them. There's another Skyrim, part 39 of Skyrim. That's already uploaded. That'll be with you Sunday. That'll be with you. So we've got a Fallout 4 hitting tomorrow, Skyrim hitting on Sunday. Depending on when I get the Immortals Fenyx Rising rendered, I might get them up over the weekend. If not, it will be beginning of the week, and I'll get those up for the people waiting for those. So you've got 3 episodes of them. So you've got loads of content coming, and I just wanted to make sure everyone's covered. I still really wanted to get back to my Dark Souls 3 playthrough, which we've not touched since New Year, Christmas, something like that. And I was really enjoying it, but time just to try and balance 4 games is like, or 3 games as it was. I think I was trying to balance about 4 or 5 at the time because Kingdoms of Amalur was going. So yeah, it's a tricky one. I inevitably end up balancing whatever the most popular ones are. Immortals Fenyx Rising, the thumbs up are still great, so keep thumbsing that up for me, so to keep me going when the new episodes hit. And I'm getting the good views on Fallout and Skyrim, but the thumbs ups are fading, so keep those thumbs ups coming on those 2 sets of games, otherwise I'll start thinking you're not that interested. So make sure you smack the thumbs up if you want to see more Skyrim and more Fallout. More Skyrim on the PS5 and more... What am I saying? Yeah, Skyrim on the PS5 and Fallout 4 on the Xbox Series X with the boost on it. Skyrim is at 60 FPS, remember, because it's got the mod on it. So... Anyway, so that's what I'm cracking on with at the minute. So I'm going to try and keep that coming. I'm going to keep coming Skyrim, Fallout, and Immortals Fenyx Rising. So I think what I'll do, each time I sit down to record, I usually get 3 recorded. So I'll try and get at least 3 nights of the week where I do 3 Skyrims, 3 Fallouts, 3 Immortals Fenyx Rising. And try and keep that ticking over minimum through each week. And that should be, hopefully, plenty of content for you guys to be interested in. And again, that's me trying to bring the Xbox back into it, because we'd kind of fallen into the PlayStation a little bit. So it's nice to be back on the Xbox Series X playing Fallout 4. Absolute dream playing it on there at the minute. So there you are. So I'm looking forward to recording plenty more of all of that. Where are we? Yes, we're just before coming on. I spotted a couple of bits of news. There was a Jedi Fallen Order. There was somebody, I think it was some gaming, German gaming place has applied for a rating for Jedi Fallen Order on the new gen of consoles, which has sparked a belief that there's going to be a proper new gen version of Jedi Fallen Order for the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. That'd be awesome to see that. I mean, it plays sublime anyway because it got a patch for the new gen consoles, so it's absolutely gorgeous anyway at the minute. But if they can do even more with that on the new gen, I'll be well up for that. I mean, I got that. I did buy it on PS4, so I had the excuse to play it again, but it was next to nothing. I would absolutely... I mean, there might even be an upgrade path to the PS5 version, but if there's not, for that game, I would absolutely pay. You know, if as long as it does well with somebody saying that it's worth playing it with the new gen version in all its glory, if we get a 1440p version, for example, or at 60 FPS, that'd be right up my street. That. So yeah, we'll see what happens with it though. So I'll keep an eye out on that front. But it's a bit weird if people are asking for age, because it's already got on the current consoles. It's already got a rating on it for age and stuff, so why you would be applying for a new one if, so someone's let it slip. I think that there is a new gen version of that coming. There's also a Tomb Raider triple pack coming for the 25th anniversary, and it's 25th anniversary, isn't it? 25 years, something. Yeah, it is 25, I'm sure it is. So there's for the anniversary of Tomb Raider, they are doing a bunch of stuff, but they are doing all 3 games in a, what was it called? Definitive Survival blah? It was called Tomb Raider Definitive Survival Trilogy. So it'll be interesting if they'll do a proper PS5 pack and a PS4 pack, maybe, or if it'll just be classed as PS4. It'll be interesting to see how they do that. But, I mean, it would have to have something particularly special for me to buy it, I think, unless I see it later down the road on the cheap, because I've already got them all. But, so there you are. So that brings us to the polls, people, the polls. So let's have a look. I might have to put my glasses on because the text is very small. It's my downstairs glasses this week. I've got a pair downstairs and a pair upstairs. Same glasses, but these have got a silver rim with black, and the ones upstairs have got a grey bar with black rims, I think, something like that. The ones upstairs are a little bit on the younger looking side. Right, so going back to a month ago. So the first decent question we've got here, well, not decent, but the first poll. First vlog of the year incoming, awesome people, loads to discuss. In advance, I'm curious, for those who are playing or have played Immortals Fenyx Rising, what score would you give it? So we had the options were 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, or lower than a 7. So lower than a 7 was 6%, so very few people. 7 out of 10 was 10%. 8 out of 10 was 13%. A whopping 45% for 9 out of 10. And 26% for 10 out of 10. So majority of people, well, that's not quite true. The greater majority picked, word this right, the greater majority all round picked something other than 9 out of 10, but the biggest scorer was 9 out of 10 with 45%. And I have to wholeheartedly agree. And actually, I gave it a 10 out of 10. I think it's brilliant. I just love that game, and I'm adoring it to bits. I was so happy to get back to it today. Okay, what do I do now? I can play Skyrim on the PS5 at 60 FPS with trophies. This is when it all kicked in with the patch arriving for the PlayStation 5. Not the patch, sorry, what am I talking about? The mod arrived, the 60 FPS mod arrived for PlayStation. And I asked you guys what you wanted me to do. Do I continue the PS5 one, carry on with the Xbox one I was already on? So 23% of people said start a new Series X playthrough. 28% of people said continue Series X. Well, the reason for starting it again was because the trick you use, because it's a mods you can't have your achievements on, but with that particular mod, you can trick it. So you put the mod on, then you reboot the game, and then, because you have to do that anyway for it to kick in, and then you go back into mods and disable it, and don't reboot the game. It thinks the mod's still on, but then it thinks you're just playing it as normal anyway. So it kind of finds this in-between place where your achievements are on, but it's still going to run at 60. And that works for the Series X as well. And that's why I was like, well, I could have played it, So anyway, in the end, 23% of people said start a new X play. 28% of people said continue the X play I was already on. And 49% said continue the PS5 Let's Play. So, and that's what I did in the end. So it just made sense. And plus, I'd kind of started it better. Like the things I was doing character-wise and level up-wise, all that sort of stuff. Can't see my t-shirt properly. I had it zipped up too far. Talking of Bethesda. Flags up Friday vlog incoming, awesome people. I'm curious what would you be more excited for? Resident Evil 8 Village, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Resident Evil Code Veronica X Remake. Now this was an interesting one. Actually, it was 31 votes. What were the votes on the others? They were massive, weren't they? Well, on the Immortals Fenyx Rising, there was 31 votes. On the Skyrim question that we just went through, there was 53 votes. That was pretty heavy, that one. Loads of folk. There's 31 votes in this one. 58% of people went with Village, Resident Evil Village. 16% went with Resident Evil 4 Remake. And 26% went Resident Evil Code Veronica X Remake, which goes back to my point of people wanted Code Veronica X Remake before 4, so why have they done 4 first? Podcast 20 incoming people. Preparation. What's the best Mass Effect game? Ooh, that's a big one. Out of these 3, because we're not bothering with the others. Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect 1, 26%. Mass Effect 2, 59%. That's a whopping 59%. And Mass Effect 3, 16%. And I'd like to just point this out. That was 58 votes. And I'd just like to say, you are wrong. Because it's Mass Effect 1. Moving on. You should know this by now, people. It's Mass Effect 1. Right. Nintendo Direct flagging us up Thursday. Podcast incoming, awesome people. In preparation, what's the best Zelda game? Breath of the Wild, Wind Waker, Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, Other. Interestingly, Other got not a bad score. So, Breath of the Wild, 29%. Wind Waker 5%, Majora's Mask 5%, Ocarina of Time 37%, Other 24%. So Ocarina of Time topped out. That bounced back and forward. It was just unbelievable. There was 41 votes in that one. So Ocarina of Time is the right answer as well, by the way. Well done. Just saying. What are you most excited for? Dragon Age 4, new Mass Effect, Diablo 2 Remaster, Diablo 4. Well, Diablo 4, 19%. Diablo 2 Remaster, 16%. New Mass Effect, 24%. And with a whopping 40%, Dragon Age 4 tops it out, which is interesting. I think if we'd had one Diablo game in there, I think that would have been an interesting one, because that would have made it pretty even, to be fair. And yeah, 20, 36, 7. Yeah, it would have been very. Between the two Diablo answers, it's not quite 40%, but it would have been a more interesting argument, I think. Although interestingly, I thought the new Mass Effect might have done a bit better. 62 votes in that one. Jesus Christ. 70 votes in this one. In preparation, what's your most anticipated Bethesda game? Elder Scrolls 6, Starfield, Fallout 5. I mean, it's a whopping, I don't suppose it's a surprise, but Fallout 5, 10%, Starfield, 9%. The Elder Scrolls 6, 81%. I think we all know that that's going to be an exclusive. Without any shadow of a doubt, and that was the most recent one. So there you go. That was all the polls, people. If I can think of one before this has come up, I'll have asked another question by now. But I didn't actually have a particular poll that I wanted to put up tonight. There's usually, if there's a poll going up, there's usually some sort of reason for it. Like I've heard a bit of news, or I'm talking about a particular topic as to, as to what I want your opinions on, just to see what those opinions are by the time the blog hits, or podcast hits. So there you are. And that's it, people. That's all I had for you. So if I talk for any longer, I am literally just going to be babbling away. So my plans for this week are, obviously I'm back at work. I've still got 4 weeks and a day to take on holiday time. But I think I wanted to wait till at least the weather had picked into, had sort of gone into springtime. It's starting to warm up now already, to be fair. But I feel like I'm level 50 at the end of April, people. Whew! Jesus Christ. Level 50. What's going on, people? You think a man that was approaching level 50 would have found, a better hobby by now, like golf. Something more suiting to his age, perhaps. But not me, people. I will forever be a gamer. I'll be sat here at 90 telling you how good my gaming week was, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm level 50 at the end of April. I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything particularly special for it, like a big gathering, because it won't be at that point yet. So I think I'll try and do what I can to some degree, at least see my dad, or I think we may be able to go into restaurants and stuff at that point, because it's end of April we're supposed to be allowed to go back into restaurants inside. But I don't know if I want to with the restrictions on. I think I'd rather wait. So it could be that we meet somewhere outside, or if the weather's good enough. Sometimes at the end of April the weather's actually sunny and gorgeous and warm. Other times it's still a bit on the frosty side. Well, chilly side. So I'll wait and see. I'm more than happy to wait until the 21st of June, end of June, and do something then when things are just lifted altogether, as long as we reach that stage. So, but anyway, the point being that I want to hold on to a lump of my holidays so I can use them when the weather's a bit better and things. I can get gardening done and go for a run, give the decking another coating for the year. And I pumped up my bike tyres again for ready for spring, so I can get out in that. You know, at least even if things don't lift up as quick as I like, at least I can get out in the bike again. At the moment, it's just running, and I haven't managed much running this week because I did one run thinking everyone tells me to move around when I've got back problems. So I tried to go for a run on that Tuesday, on the Monday. And I'm pretty sure that's why it was so bloody awful on the Tuesday, because it was already bad on the Monday. And, you want to see the pain? I've never ran so slow. I managed to do the run, but it was so painful. Oh, Jesus. So it'd be nice. Anyway, the bike, to be fair, when my back's like that, the bike's not really any good either. The minute you hit a bump, it'd be bloody agony. But anyway, it's ready to rumble. The only reason I don't use the bike really at any point, sort of winter time, is it's not overly pleasant. And the only place I've got to put the bike is in the sort of dining area bit of the kitchen, hide it. It's hard to explain, but it just sort of tucks away. So I'd have to drag, like if it was raining or pissing it down, I'd have to drag a dirty bike through, the house, and I don't want to do that, So I just sort of save it for when I know it's going to be nice out or what have you. So it's ready to rumble anyway. Anyway, so that's, so I'll be back at work, but I will try and in the evenings be doing those 3 games record-wise. So we'll have Skyrim PS5, Fallout 4 on the Xbox Series X, and Immortals Phoenix Rising on the PlayStation 5. And I'll try and do 3. And then if I can do more than that through the week, then I will, obviously. I just need to pick which game gets most. And it'll probably be whichever one I'm kind of most invested in at the time. So that's my plan. We'll see how well I get on with it. And anyway, I hope you're enjoying all the content I'm throwing up one way or the other. And there you go. Yeah, that's it. I literally have run out of things to say. Flaggins up to you all. If you haven't got one of these, you should have been having one while you've been listening to me. There you are, folks. I am done. Drop the mic. It has been an honour and a privilege serving for you once again in this vlog of mine, and I shall see you in the next one, folks. Take it easy. Bye.